Hello, my friends. It's Andy over at today's CBD and Wellness podcast. I'm here live on a Wednesday. I had to look down to see what day it was here on a Wednesday in Brea, California. And we are going to have a great conversation with somebody in the healthcare business, which is pretty cool, considering Vaseo, which is the company that I talk about all the time, where we have CBD oil and CBD cream and all these other kinds of wellness product. We just learned that we are one of the top 50 healthcare companies in the world, which is pretty amazing. And Carey, my guest, is in the healthcare business, and I'm going to bring her on right now as soon as I get done with my lower third. Hey, Carey, how you doing?
Well, hi. How are you?
I'm good, really good. We were having a good time before we hit the play button. And
yes.
And how is this for your first interview? How's this going so far?
So far, so good. As long as you can hear me and my picture's on and it's not echoing, then we're good to go.
No, I can hear you fine. You sound great. You're all the way in New Jersey, right? What's it like in New Jersey today?
New Jersey is hot.
Is it really?
It's really hot and humid, but it's sunny and it's summer. So what do you expect? But yeah, it's good. I think some rain's coming in, but yeah, we're good.
So first, what I want you to do, if you could, can you just let us know what you do for a living in the healthcare business?
Sure. I am an occupational therapist. Most people do not know what that is. Yeah. In fact, I work in an outpatient rehab hospital, and I teach people how to resume their daily living skills. So anything and everything that somebody does from the moment they get out of bed to the minute they go to bed at night. And anything and everything that you do in between is things that I work on with people. I am also a lymphedema therapist, so I treat swollen body parts as a result of lymph nodes being taken out or radiation from cancer, and some complications of obesity and venous issues and wounds and things of that. Good gory stuff.
So I am not a doctor or a scientist. My screen just went gigantic for a second. I don't even know what the lymph nodes are in control of. Why do we need them? What do they do?
Oh, they're so important. And you know what? Well, I was going to say something, but I won't.
Go ahead.
No. I just, so many people are not educated about what our lymphatic system does. And the lymph nodes are so important for draining toxins and bacteria out of our body. So when we get sick and our body identifies that we're sick, the lymph nodes are really essential in kind of cleaning out those toxins.
All right. So is there something that we do, some people do on a daily basis that cause problems with our lymph nodes?
No, traditionally, as long as they stay intact and they're not disrupted, then we're good.
Okay.
In rare occasion, people can be born with underdeveloped lymphatic system. So if you were to have trauma to your leg, you could get a backflow fluid and swelling and it never goes away. In that case, you might have an underdeveloped lymphatic system. So we have 500 to 700 lymph nodes in our body, and they're teeny tiny, but they're so important. So if you have one taken out, it can disrupt that part of your body.
Wow. That's why I love doing this show. The reason I created this podcast is so I could talk to professionals in other areas that I know nothing about. There was a chiropractor near you, in New York, so closer to you than to me. And she is an expert in the gut, and had a great conversation with her on this podcast, episode 3, I think, and learned so much that the gut is essentially our second brain in our body. That it has the same amount of neurons as the brain in a cat or a dog, and is just fascinating. So I knew nothing about what you're talking about.
So if I have lymph nodes taken out of my armpit, then those lymph nodes operate that arm, that chest wall, your back up into your hip. And everything's kind of in segments in your body. So you have lymph nodes in your neck, in your armpit, in your belly, in your groin. So a couple in your elbow and behind your knee. But yeah.
Okay. Well, that's crazy. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get a whole sidetracked, but I just
no, it's good.
I better ask you what they are. And so, in your where you work in as part of a bigger organization, or is this your own practice?
No, I work for a healthcare company in an outpatient hospital. So But lymphedema is pretty like a unique niche. There's not a whole ton of lymphedema therapists, at least in
Yeah.
my area. So, yeah, I treat in an outpatient hospital.
Okay. And so you have a large interest in wellness, right?
I
And
do.
so how does being in a healthcare business, and I look at them as separately. Now, I don't know if you do or not, but I do just based on my history, and I'm just a novice at all this stuff. But how does healthcare in your world compare to your wellness interest? And do the two kind of combine, or are they completely separate?
No, the two totally combine, because my patients that I see every single day have so many health issues, which is why I became attracted to Viseo when it was introduced to me, because I see patients every day that have issues with obesity, who have chronic pain issues, who have skin integrity issues, who are dehydrated, who lack energy, who aren't sleeping. I mean, that is my population. And the fact that I am able to have these, 10 nutraceutical products that will allow me to have conversations with them, because they've tried either everything under the sun, nothing's working for them, they can't get in to see their physician, it can be complicated. So to be able to have really good conversations with my patients, and of course, my network and people I'm associated with, about these products and how they can help people. Not to mention CBD, we haven't even gotten into that yet, but,
Right.
And when you have a disability, you're dealing with depression, anxiety, other type of mental issues. I deal with people who have had strokes. So, their brain function is not up to par. Most oftentimes they have issues with their memory, problem solving, planning, executive functioning. So it's just really awesome to be able to be in a position to help them in more ways than one, not just therapeutically and physically, but to help, their inside of their body too.
Right. So Kaiser is my healthcare provider, and I have a love-hate relationship with them. And so that's kind of why I wanted to have you on the show, is because anytime I've brought up certain types of things, especially CBD, which we're going to get into probably a little bit more later on. But if I bring any of these things to their attention, say, hey, I'm trying this or I'm doing that, I can get laughed at. I have doctors put up their hand and say, what are you doing? Just, do you have a pyramid on your head too, and some crystals that you put under your pillow? And so do you find that in where you're at, or are they open to you suggesting certain things, or how does that work with you?
I feel like the older population are very, they just want to follow exactly what the doctor says, even if it's not helping. So opening up their minds to things that are holistic and natural can be a little bit tough. I think with the younger population, the 30 to 60 range is a little bit easier to talk to. But I think, people are opening up their minds to other alternatives, and people just want to be healthy. They want to stay out of the hospital.
Yeah, especially it seems like, we're living longer. We got the baby boomers. This population is huge. And, for so many years, I was convinced that, my doctor's there to take care of me and make me well. And I can tell you that I had some issues. I had high blood pressure. I was pre-diabetic. I had anxiety from some PTSD from, being a police officer, being in a couple of shootings and car crashes and chases and all that kind of stuff. And basically the medication that I was given was just kind of maintaining a lifestyle that I could live with, I guess.
Sure.
It didn't really seem to be taking away anything. It just, some of the pain was reduced, although I still had the pain. It just wasn't as great as it would be without the medication. It seemed like the blood pressure was somewhat managed, but it was never really going down. And everything else. I could go on and on with a couple other things, but I'm not. But once I became interested in wellness, once I nearly died twice at Kaiser because of some errors that they made during 2 different biopsies a year and a half apart. It was then that I said, forget it. I'm going to look into wellness and see what I can do to help take care of myself. And I found end up finding Viseo. And since I've been taking these products, and I know that people that watch my Facebook lives or listen to my podcast think I've gone nuts, because I just cannot say enough about these great products. I just don't know how. Is there a way to talk to people? Have you found a way to talk to people and say, I know the doctor wants to give you these pharmaceuticals that, fix this, but cause all these other side effects. How has you found it, being a part of Viseo, to approach people with a wellness product that just seems like, I don't know. It just doesn't, it's for me, sometimes it's hard to break through somebody who says, I'm going to take something that a doctor tells me to take from a pharmacy, as opposed to what Viseo has to offer and a couple testimonials that I can give you. Do you find it difficult to pass on, good information to people that aren't really open to listening to it?
Yes and no. I mean, I think that people are tired of not feeling well. So I think as they've been through the healthcare system and things aren't working, and like you said, like different medical malpractice and things going wrong that shouldn't go wrong, and, just educating them about how foods are grown these days, and pesticides and, synthetics that are in the medications that aren't really helping them. Just trying to educate and, hope that they open their eyes to things that can help. And, it works. Yep. And, you're going to have some resistance, of course, with everything, but just educating people about, okay, well, if you're not getting results with this, then maybe you should try this. And, like you said, sometimes it's just people have things that are Band-Aid to cover things up, just to cover that pain for a little bit. And it's not working. Yeah. Or, people are getting hooked on narcotics and oxy and things like that. And I got to tell you, I mean, I had a pinched nerve about 2 years ago, and I've never experienced pain like that in my life. I have a new respect for my pain patients, and I was prescribed oxy, and at the time, of course, I was not with Viseo, and I can see how people get hooked on oxy. I mean, it really just puts you in this mode of you don't have a care in the world, right? And if I had CBD oil then, I definitely would have opted for that. So I'm just super glad that it's here now and it's become so prevalent.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that in 1 second, but I was thinking also, when you talked about our food, one of the things that I've become far more aware of is, produce and food and how it's grown, and, pesticides and that kind of stuff, the carcinogens that are in our food and water and, surrounding us on a daily basis. And I don't know if it was something that I heard from a Viseo video or some other research I was doing on the internet, but if you were to take an orange and from, I think it was like the 1930s, something like that, several decades ago, and compare the nutritional value to what an orange, that same size orange today, you would have to eat 9 of the oranges today to get the same nutritional value that you would out of one orange back in, say, 1930. And I don't remember the exact date, but incredible.
I so believe that.
Yeah, that was an amazing stat. And so when you start thinking, because people ask, well, why do I need to continue to take CBD if it's so great? Why don't I just take it a couple times and it fixes something? Well, CBD is like a vitamin. It's like vitamin A, C, D, that we just don't seem to get as much of those vitamins. I mean, that orange example is a prime example of, well, our food doesn't have the same nutrients as it once did. And so we are having to replace all these vitamins that we need to live on a daily basis and be healthy, that we just aren't simply getting in our diet. Do you have any other crazy stats like that, or anything that
I heard something like that, but I know that some people get really fixated on the fact that if they eat clean, if they eat organic, that they don't need supplementation. And exactly what you said, just spinach, broccoli, kale, all those things are just not the same today as it was before. And I have a business partner who, her grandfather owns a farm here in New Jersey, and he goes on and on and on about the soil depletion and how things just aren't the same, because he's had a farm for years and years and years and has seen all the changes in what happens to produce and how things are grown. So
yeah, it just makes sense. I mean, you can only grow so much out of the same plot of soil, and there's got to be at a point in time where the minerals just aren't what they were when you first started planting, because you keep turning it over. And again, I'm not a farmer. But when you hear stats like that 9 oranges are the same as 1 orange in 1930, that's pretty significant. So let's talk about CBD. So when did CBD hit your radar, and when did you start using it or offering it to other people?
You know what? CBD hit my radar when Viseo launched it.
Oh, really?
Honestly, I mean, I had not been exposed to CBD at all. I was not well educated about CBD. And then, of course, I have people reaching out to me and in other companies and asking me for them to, try their product and stuff like that. So, so the first experience I had with CBD is, I had an event at my house, kind of like a tasting party. And we had the CBD oil and the lotion, and everybody's kind of like taking off their clothes and rubbing the lotion. And
wow.
Not like that kind of party, but
why wasn't I at that party?
You're too far away. We could have done a Zoom or something.
Yeah, I would have flown.
But yeah, I mean, everybody was putting them in all sorts of body parts, taking the CBD oil. And I've got to tell you, I was like super relaxed. Like in instances like this where I am being interviewed or interviewing someone else, that or speaking, public speaking, they say is, one of the greatest fears, right? And I'm not like an anxious person. I don't have a history of depression or anything like that. I never took meds for anxiety. But I took that CBD and I was like, okay, like I can handle the crowd. Like I feel good.
Right.
But didn't feel fatigued per se or anything like that. But interestingly enough, one of my business partners who joined me, he has had multiple surgeries on his neck, chronic pain issues for a few years, hasn't been able to go to the gyms, barely been able to work. And I spoke to him about the CBD oil and he's an advocate of marijuana use and things like that. And when he tried our CBD and tried some of our products, he was like, wow, I have not gotten this type of pain relief from anything the physicians have prescribed to me. And he was so thankful and so grateful. He's like, Cara, like the next day after he took our sleep product, he said, I just can't even believe it. Like, Dana, who was his wife, she said, I can't even believe, like, Sean slept 4 hours last night and, feeling refreshed. And he joined me in business because he saw the great value in what it's done for him. So, even, medical marijuana and things like that. I mean, CBD, what's your feeling on the CBD as far as how it addresses versus medical marijuana? I mean, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, the CBD, it just changed my life. And that's why the subtitle of my book is the CBD, a gateway to wellness, is because it just started this whole new journey for me, because I started to feel better. Like you said, I started to sleep. I had a history of only sleeping 2 to 3 hours a night until I started taking CBD. Now I sleep 6 to 8 hours a night, and I love it. I
bet you do.
Yeah, I for 30 years or so, because I'm only 30. 30 years or so, I
thought you looked young.
Yeah. Thank you. I created this lie that I told everybody that, I don't need to sleep. I just need to sleep 2 to 3 hours. That's what my body needs. And I'll sleep when I die. And I get more done and really it was a huge lie. I started to believe it. And so, but when I started to sleep, I get far more done in less amount of time. And I'm way more effective because I'm more clear-headed. I can, you're not supposed to multitask, and you don't actually multitask very well. However, I can do a couple things. Like earlier, I was chatting with you and creating different graphics and setting them to do while I was talking to the kids and doing other stuff. So it does give me that ability to be able to bounce from one thing a little bit more effectively. And it's just changed my life. To be able to sleep has just been gigantic. So then that leads into where I start thinking, well, if I can feel this good just on CBD, what if I, tried the Neuro that Viseo has to offer? And what if I added the V Slim with the V3 for my workouts? I lost 25 pounds in just like 3 or 4 weeks.
Wow.
But, you know, I kept moving, I kept doing other stuff. And then I didn't allow myself just to be happy with that level of wellness. I've been looking for more. And I literally, and this is no lie, I feel probably better than I did in my 20s, because already in my 20s, I've been pole vaulting. I played football. I was playing ice hockey. I was a cop. I'd been in a couple car crashes and fights. And so in my 20s, I was already in pain. And so now here I am virtually pain free and I sleep great. And I'm off all 4 of my pharmaceuticals. And
wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. So to answer, I think I'm answering your question. The CBD has just been spectacular.
That's awesome.
And I think there was another question in there somewhere, but it's just amazing. So it's forced me in a way, because I've written books before on dog training, on other subject matter, how to do Facebook Live. I've written a book, and so I had to write a book about CBD just so that I could tell people about it, and so they could give me a bigger platform. I speak at doctors' conventions, and of course do all these other interviews and stuff like that, because I think it's necessary to really tell people about it that are just so concerned about, there was a medical marijuana question. There it was. And so, because so many people are afraid it has to do with marijuana. And I didn't take it in the beginning because I thought it was, had to do with marijuana, and learned it was, industrial hemp. And so I don't really get into the medical marijuana aspect, because I think that was the second part of your question. Although I do watch documentaries and I read studies on medical marijuana, it's just not something that I get into very much, because I have seen enough studies that say that the THC can cause more extensive problems with people that have mental health issues. That it can trigger those things. And so since I'm dealing with cops with PTSD and military people that with PTSD, I don't recommend them trying anything related to medical marijuana and anything with THC. So that's why I like Viseos, that it's 0 THC. And I don't have to worry about at least them taking the CBD alone with no THC. It should not cause any triggering or enhance it with any kind of psychosis that they might have or something like that, because THC has been known to do that. So
well, that's what I love, like you said, about our product, because there is no THC and it can be offered to anybody and anybody can use it. I know that the people in, police officers and firefighters and pilots and things like that, and other type of governmental jobs are, a little bit skeptical, right? So how do you suggest that you communicate with those people about our product, because it is THC free?
Yeah, well,
THC free.
I tell them of my research and studies. I tell them I'm a police officer, that I understand the concern. I have flight attendants that use it, UPS drivers that also get blood tested, or tested for narcotics. Not an airline pilot yet. However, I've had 3 airline pilots. I fly a lot, so I always wear a shirt that says CBD oil on it. And so as I'm getting off the plane, you're saying goodbye to the pilots when you're leaving, they'll stop me and they go, "Hey, do you have a card?" And I give them a card. But as far as I know, none of them have purchased yet. But I make sure and tell them, you could take this. There's no THC, and it's perfectly fine. But then when I have the opportunity to talk to them, I just tell them of my experience. I have a few people on my team who have been blood tested, and it shows up a negative for narcotics, and they're very happy. And we guarantee that it's THC free. And I just can do my best to educate them and tell them to give it a shot, and to get tested themselves if they want to give it a try. That's a really hard one to get past, because especially even my logo has a hemp leaf, which looks like a marijuana plant on it. And so it's still that, but it's really an eye grabber. It's kind of one of those things I was going to not have that in the logo, but it seems to be necessary to attract the attention. Without it, I don't get as much attention as I do with it. And so it's a little bit of a marketing thing that you have to kind of figure out. Is it worth it? Is it not? But it seems to be worth having it on there. But it's a conversation starter for sure, but it is a little bit of a hurdle. I think it's going to take probably about another 2 or 3 years to really convince people that it's not, THC. It's not going to get you high. But we have to also understand, when people are listening to this, there are CBD oils out there that have THC in it. And and some will say THC free, and it's not. So I want to also caution you, if you're listening to this or watching the replay or watching us live, is that you have to make sure that what you are actually taking. With Viseo, I can guarantee you that it's THC free. It guarantees, the company guarantees it's THC free, but I can't say the same thing for any other product that says CBD oil on it. We just don't know.
Yeah. Well, I love that they provide the certificate of analysis. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Headphones. Certificate of analysis showing exactly that it's THC free and the contents and things, percentages of what's actually in there, which is great.
So do you get the opportunity to tell any of your patients about CBD and suggest that they give it a try?
I do. Yeah. Because people are hearing about CBD more frequently. And, some of the patients that I have come in, whether it's a stroke and pain from just the muscles being lax and pain around the joint, or if it's something that's trauma related. Yes. And I've had patients take advantage of that and try the CBD oil and getting great results from it. So.
Yeah, I have a doctor interviewed. Her name is Dr. Botwell. She's out of St. Louis, Missouri. And she had an amputee, lost 3 fingers. And this interview, actually, I showed the pictures, but he healed within a matter of weeks, where normally it would take a very long time. And she showed me 5 different pictures. I actually have them on my computer and I show them fairly regularly. But she said it was like watching a movie called Wolverine. That's what it's called. Watching Wolverine just heal, because it happens. She was applying the CBD directly to the wound 2 or 3 times a day. He had already started the CBD prior to actually having, it was, one of those wood cutting incidents that occur. My wood shop teacher had lost a finger too. So it's kind of like one of those normal things, but it was cutting wood. He chopped off 3 of his fingers, but the CBD applied directly to those wounds after they amputated, they healed like a snap, like Wolverine, according to her.
That is very cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love this stuff. Before we stop this, is there any other products that really just blow you away with Viseo? Is there, you have another one besides CBD that really just hit you?
Oh, I love the Eternal, which is our collagen product. It's helps with cellular regeneration, glutathion, and I love it. Not only does it taste great, so it's kind of like skincare, but you drink it, so it's affecting your skin on a cellular level versus a topical level. And I think that my skin and everything has changed as a result of taking that. Yes.
Yeah.
It keeps you young. I know you're only 30, so you're not really aging yet.
Yeah,
so,
well,
you might not need it, but
I do take it though. I do take it on a regular basis.
But I do love the Eternal. I love the V3 for energy because I'm not a coffee drinker, so I love taking that because it not only does it give me energy, but it puts me in a good mood. And sometimes after a long day, you're not feeling spry and happy and all that. So the V3 just elevates my mood. And I just tell everybody, have some of this happy drink. If you want to be happy, take it.
Yeah. I love the V3. I take that in the morning. That's, I've replaced my coffee with V3 and I mix the V Slim and V3 together still, and mix those 2 together, have that with my Core Complete vitamins and a Nero. So I take that together in the morning as kind of my breakfast. I run to the gym, go work out. I come back, and that's when I have an Eternal as my morning after workout breakfast. And what else? Oh, and Renew. I take the Renew too. I do all the products.
That sounds like it. Yeah.
I love it. So that's kind of my routine. I just created a video, and that's kind of, I put that all together, and it's on my Facebook page, but it talks about my daily routine. And then at night, I do the CBD oil and sleep. And that really kicks in my sleep. I don't do sleep every night. Sometimes I'm just tired and I go, you know what? I don't need it tonight. And I just crash out. But sometimes you have those days that were just kind of challenging or whatever, and you just don't want your brain to be thinking about what happened. And so I'll throw in 2 or 3 squirts of the sleep, and wham, I'm out and wake up refreshed, ready to go, ready to take on the day.
Yeah.
Any of the other products? Do you try Renew, or have you tried Renew?
I've tasted it. I don't really have inflammation issues. My husband actually was wearing a knee brace for a whole year. He never went to the doctor, and Kids, you gotta love it. We never went to the doctor because you're gonna pay a copay. They're gonna want to send you for X-ray and MRI and send you to PT and all this stuff. I'm a therapist, so it's okay to get therapy. But he just put it off and put it off. And then when I partnered with Viseo and we had the Renew product, he started taking it. And like I said, he was wearing a knee brace for a whole year. Had intermittent shoulder issues, but the knee was the main issue. And within, I'd say 2 weeks, he had no pain. He was off of this brace. He hasn't worn the brace since. And now he just takes the Renew like every other day or so. Mm-hmm. And he's had great results with it. I mean, I've tasted it, so I know what it tastes like. I've used the Sleep. I've used that every now and then. But yeah, the Renew is awesome. And, I work with a guy who is in our dietary area, and he walks with a Lymph. And the other day I saw him and I said, well, not the other day, a couple of weeks ago, I said, dude, is your hip all right? And he's like, I need a hip replacement, but I can't get it until, like 8 months because of his insurance kicking in.
Right.
And I said, I have something that you're going to love. And, so he bought the Renew, and as a result of his pain, he doesn't sleep. So, he bought both, and he's like, he's like, I don't know what's wrong with me. He says, I'm sleeping so well. He's like, I used to sleep only 2 to 3 hours. I said, tell you, the products are working. Yeah. And he said his pain is reduced. I mean, he still has a limp, of course. He needs to get his joint replaced. But it's really helping him. So it's cool to see him walk down the hallway and know that he's not in as much pain and he's doing better. So
that's awesome. I love these testimonials. I had interviewed a military veteran. She was a Army combat medic, and she came back, and needed some help. And she held up a bag during our interview, a trash bag full of medication. It was, about this big. I'm using my hand to describe something about the size of a little bit bigger than a basketball of medication. And then she held up her CBD bottle. She goes, I went from this to this. And said, and just dropped that on the ground, and she takes CBD. It was the best moment on one of my broadcasts ever, to just see the results and of one of my downline. I had on Memorial Day, I had reached out to my group, my team, and said, let's do a Memorial Day challenge and say, let's give away a free bottle to any veteran who contacts you that has PTSD and wants to try one of our bottles for free, and just give them a bottle. And she was one of those people. And my cousin gave her a free bottle, and she was able to dump that huge bag of medication. It was awesome. I
love that. That's such a great idea.
Brings tears to my eyes just thinking about it. It's just because I know that pain of feeling like you're going to die, and I rushed myself to the emergency room thinking I'm having a heart attack. I've been not very smart driving yourself to the emergency room, but I didn't want to tell anybody. Right? I'm a man, and you don't want to tell anybody that you're having I thought I was having a heart attack. I thought I was dying, and drove myself there, and they said, no, you're just having an anxiety attack. I go, what? I'm not a girl. I don't mean to be offensive, but I'm just saying that's what you grow up. I mean, I just grew up, don't ever tell anybody you're in pain. Don't tell anybody you're hurting. If you do, you're a big wussy, and they use another word other than wussy, but they said, that's how I grew up. Right. And so I told nobody would have known, because I kind of put a smile on my face, acted like everything's okay all the time. But I know it was painful to think that you're dying because you're convinced that you're going to die. But I've not had that happen since I've been taking CBD and Viseo's products. So I hope that I can help other people with that same thing.
I love that.
A question I had really quick, and this is one of the ones I had originally. Do you know who Brendan Burchard is?
I do not.
Okay, he's a motivational speaker type of guy, and has him and his wife currently do a podcast, and they do some coaching and things like that. One of the things I was following, he talked about that people that are even well should go see a physical therapist. Just not on like a everyday type of thing, but just go visit a physical therapist and just get examined and get some tips on making sure that you're walking right, you're sitting right, you're doing things right. How do you feel about that? I've never heard of that before. I always thought of a physical therapist as an after accident type of person that you go see. What about somebody coming to you just say, you know what, I just want to make sure that I'm functioning correctly. Is that something that you do? Have you heard of that before?
Yes. It's called being proactive instead of reactive, right?
Yeah.
No, and it's good because really what we do as therapists, probably 80% of what we do is provide education to people. And we don't really realize the value that we're providing to people because it's just what we do and it just seems natural for us. But it's so true because, we can look at somebody's gait, we can look at their heel strike, we can, look at how they turn to sit in a chair, all of those things. And I mean, the PTs obviously are very much more well-versed than I am regarding looking at gait function and abnormalities. But they absolutely can. I mean, give them an exercise program, things that they can do at home, and education. Education is key. And it's just like what we're doing here right now. And, sometimes I'll have oncologists send patients my way for kind of like a screening. So I can look at their arm, I can look at their skin integrity, how soft the skin is and things like that, take measurements of their arm. So say they're going to get a mastectomy or they're going to, they have breast cancer, then I can, order a compression sleeve or something for them before they get their surgery. So then they don't end up getting lymphedema in their arm. So there's lots of things that we can do as clinicians to educate people. So kind of like a screening tool, if you will. And they're doing that a lot in different locations, ShopRite, grocery stores, they have health and wellness fairs that physical therapists go to. So they can look at, how people are walking. They look to see if they're a falls risk, have them stand on one foot, have them turn in a circle, pick something up from the floor. And you can screen somebody really, really quickly to determine if they're a falls risk or not. And, as you get older, your risk of falling goes up. So we can provide a lot of education that way.
Wow. I didn't know. See, I'm glad I asked that question. That was really good. That's really good for my podcast because this is all about wellness, about this journey of wellness. 1 second, buddy. And so, that's awesome. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about during this conversation? Maybe popped in your head before we end this broadcast? Is there
No, I think it's been awesome.
Awesome.
I really appreciate you having me on.
Very cool. Okay. Well, I don't want you to go away. I'm gonna first I want to talk about if you want to learn more about CBD oil. Sorry, I had to look and see for my buttons at the same time. That multitasking thing just got me just now. Todayscbdoil.com is where you go to buy CBD from me. If you like Carey more, then you contact her and buy from her. It doesn't matter to me. I don't do this just to sell product. I do this to inform and let you know what we got going on. So, but Today's CBD Oil is where you go to buy CBD. If you want to get one of the other products we talked about, then you go to todaysviseo.com. Now, I know two websites are confusing. However, it was something very important that Viseo did because what happens if something happens with the CBD, with regulations, and still some concerns about, what certain states think about it and that kind of stuff. The possibility of having the CBD website shut down is always there. So what they did is created two different websites. That way, if it happens, it doesn't affect the rest of the business. So you got to think highly of a company that thinks that far ahead and make sure and takes care of its brand partners like Carey and I. And I really did appreciate that. I was confused at first, just like you may be, but it makes sense now when you figure out when you see what's happening. So visit either one of those websites. They'll be in the description. You can just click on those links if you want to do that. And Carey, thank you very much. This has been fantastic. I really enjoyed talking to you. And I'm glad that you joined me, but I don't want you to leave because I'm going to play the music and you and I will be able to talk afterwards if
awesome.
If you still have time.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining me. Make sure and go to todayscbdoil.com or todaysviseo. I couldn't pronounce it, viseo.com if you want to learn more about our products. All right. Take care. Talk to you later.